People have asked me oftentimes, why didn't you just stop at learning about one breed or two breeds and, continue on from there and just be happy with that? Why did you need to learn about all these different breeds? Why did you have to unpeel every layer of that onion and go down every little rabbit hole that you've ever seen? And I don't really know how to explain it other than the fact that it must be related to the fact that I'm also a hunter. And that's sort of what drives hunters, right? You're always wanting to go over that next rise, that next little piece of cover, that next little block of wood. It's pursuit. I'm just naturally a curious person. And so it's this thirst for knowledge, this desire to know. There's always a little bit more that I need to know. And when I started investigating these breeds, when I started to learn about them, I wanted as much information as I could find. So I went to my local library, several of them, looking for books. And you would find the occasional book that mentioned the Brittany and the occasional quote-unquote dog encyclopedia that would have their conformation standard and maybe 3 lines about their history. But it was very incomplete. It was just these snippets of information that I could never kind of satisfy my desire to know about them. And then I started finding contradictions. One book would say one thing, another book would say something else. And then I realized that a lot of the stuff that was written on these breeds was written by people who had never seen them, who had never hunted over them, who had just copied something that they heard from somebody else. And it was just sort of this game of telephone that at the end of the day didn't portray these breeds as they really are. So I thought, right, if I can't find a book that explains the A to Z of all these breeds, I'm going to have to write it. I'm simply going to have to sit back and write it. But I'm not going to write it by looking and taking all those pieces of information from other books. I'm going to go there. I'm going to find out about German Shorthaired Pointers in Germany. I want to know about the Italian Bracco in Italy. I love traveling, so does my wife. Photography, art, music, travel, my wife, dogs, those are my passions. So what better life? Simply going to go out and create this book for me, so that now I'll have something to read. It just so happens that I made enough copies to sell, and other people got involved, and other people got interested in it, and that's where it started. His name is Randy, and this is Maeve over there. But they are Irish red and white setters, and they will stand for the Irish red and white setter. And I think we got a dog on point right over here. What is German about the German Shorthaired Pointer, right? What is French about the Brittany? What is English about the Pointer or English Setter? What does that mean to be an English dog? The only way to figure that out is to go there. You got to go there and you have to see the dogs working in the terrain and on the game that they were developed for. Like, what was that environment that ended up creating this dog? And dog breeds are simply shared ideas of a group of people in a certain place in a certain time. So it's basically a 4-legged idea or concept or agreement among people. Well, who were those people? Why did they make or come to an agreement on that particular breed or that look or that style of hunting or those talents that were necessary for them? And to figure that out, you have to go back to the countries and watch them and talk to the people. And then it's just light bulb after light bulb goes off. It's like, okay, I get it now. I know why this particular dog would jump through burning hoops of fire to track a deer or take down a fox. And I know why this dog will run like its ass is on fire and slam on a point on a really wily red grouse. That's how you figure out these different breeds. After all these years, maybe I wasn't writing about dogs alone as a standalone. I was writing about people. I speak hunting, and hunters have a communal language. We have so much in common that the minute the conversation is about hunting and about dogs, we're like long lost family. Because I started with the Weimaraner, that was sort of the first breed that I really went deep into the investigation of and made contacts with other people. Knowing that it comes from Germany, I contacted breeders in Germany and eventually got some dogs from Germany. Ended up switching breeds about 7 years ago. We had what was probably the best dog I'd ever have, or maybe will ever have in my life. It was a wonderful Weimaraner, a male short-haired Weimaraner named Henry. He was diagnosed with lymphoma. We went through the chemo, we went through this and that, eventually had to say goodbye. And that broke our hearts. And people would offer us Weimaraner puppies, and we couldn't even look at pictures without breaking into tears. So we thought, you know what, we should maybe try another breed, just for now, and maybe think about a Weimaraner later on. So we started thinking. By that time, Lisa and I had seen every single pointing breed ever developed. One particular breed had a lot of connections to our heart and also to the way we hunt. It was a breed from northern France, from an area called Picardy, and they hunted a little bit of waterfowl, they hunted woodcock, they hunted snipe, they hunted pheasant, partridge, quite calm at home. They didn't want anything to do with tracking or, killing coyotes. It just sort of made sense. And then one day on the internet, I was going through and a friend on Facebook had a litter of Picardy pup. And I saw these pictures. We were still grieving. We were still really heartbroken. And I saw this picture of these Picardy pups. The pictures were amazing, and I took them and I thought, oh my God, Lisa, I'm going to show you this picture. Please tell me no. She took one look and said, I'll go get my purse. We're going to England. Let's go get this pup. Lisa's journey has been really special as well. Ever since she's known me as a hunter. It really didn't interest her much because she didn't know anything about it. She grew up in a city. But when we got our first dog, she fell in love with that dog, of course, as you do, and wanted to see what this hunting thing was all about. And so she came along a couple of times and realized, oh my God, this is amazing, watching my dog, who I love dearly, do what it was put on this planet to do, run around and hunt. And so she thought, well, I'd like to watch and go with you. Can I have one of your cameras, Craig? So I gave her a camera and set her up, and she followed us around hunting with a camera and got amazing photographs. After about 15 years, she said, you know what, Craig, I want a gun. I'm ready. She said, I'm ready to hunt with a gun instead of a camera. And so, sure enough, we got her a gun and had it fitted and went out and practiced at the Trap and Skeet Club, and she started hunting, and she ended up being a better shot than I am, to be honest with you. She's never missed a day of hunting since. Years ago, when I first started in dogs, there was a fellow who had some land just outside of town that would let us train on pigeons on his land. And he told me, he says, Craig, let me give you a piece of advice. He says, you'll never have a better hunting partner than your wife. And he's right. When we harvest game, when we take a pheasant, when we kill a duck, we will take that meat and we will cook it and prepare it as best as we can. We'll open the best bottle of wine we have in the house, and we will sit down and celebrate our life, its life, our connection and engagement with it and the natural world. And all of that is made possible by our dogs. That, to me, is what it's all about, really. That's the conclusion I've come to. After all this research and after all this travel and after all this obsession with this, that is basically the bottom line, is that these creatures exist to help us remain connected to the natural world.